Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and today I want to show you how to do odd count peyote stitch in bead weaving. I have an example here of a project I've started using odd count peyote, and what's great about it is it allows you to create symmetrical patterns that have a middle point. So here we have this chevron pattern, and it comes to a point, and since we have these lovely arrows pointing, we need a tip. So we need to have an odd number of columns in order to achieve this. So even count peyote stitch will not work. So we need to do odd count. It's a little bit more work than even count, but it does allow you to create designs like this. So you're going to start it by just having a length of thread onto a needle, and I have a little stopper bead. And it's going to be the same way you start even count peyote, except for you're going to string on an odd number of beads. So I'm going to do 9 here. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now we're going to slide those beads down to our stop bead, and we're going to do the same thing that we would do in even count peyote, which is we're going to pick up another bead to start our second row, and we're going to jump over the last turquoise bead of row 1 that we strung, and we're going to go into the one right next to it. And it can be a little bit hard when you're first starting this to get your beads to pull snug, so you're just going to work with them. So that's what we want for the beginning. And this is still the same process as even count. So we're going to skip over the next bead and go through the one next to it. And kind of work these as you go to get them to line up, and watch your thread tension as well. Again, we're going to pick up another bead, skip over the next bead, and go through the following one. Again, skip over, go to the next one, and this is where things get tricky. So if this was even count peyote, you wouldn't have this problem where now you need to put on another bead. But where do you go from here? So this slides down, and what you'd normally want to be able to do is just continue going this way. But you can't do that because this bead is not anchored. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through what was the first bead you strung, or what will be in all the other layers, the first bead of the row below. So you're going to go through that bead. You're also going to go through the bead next to it and the bead next to it, but up on top of this other row. And you're going to pull, and then you're going to go through the bead below and pull through. See what is happening to that little loop? Just going to slide right in there. You're going to go back through that middle bead and out again through that first bead. And I'm going to show this to you again when we get to another row, but I want you to just realize you're concentrating on this series of 5 beads right here. So we went down through here, so we came up, looped around, then we went back here, and now we're going to go through that first bead of the second row. And now our thread is positioned where we want it to continue with our weaving. And I am doing a chevron pattern here, so I'm going to pick up a darker blue bead, and now we're going to progress on this just the same way we normally do with peyote stitch. This guy got twisted around. It was just my threads were twisted, but we're good. I just twisted him back. Okay, now on this end, all's good. Our thread is exiting the last bead on the row we just strung, and we can loop back up and around. So it's just going to be every other row you're going to have to weave your thread back into your beadwork so that you can position that thread and needle to be coming out in the direction you want and out of the bead that you want. So I'm going to continue here so that I can get to the other side again and show you how to do this. So now we're again to this end where we need to add another bead to finish our row. But where does he go? So we have to go back through the first bead right below it on the row below. So you'll see I'm going to go through that bead, but I'm also going to go through the middle bead and then this top bead as well. I'm going to get this tail out of the way, hold that down so you can see what we're doing. Just work with it, position that bead so it's going to start the next row. And then I want to loop below. There we go. I want to go back through the middle bead and exit through that first bead on the row below, pull through, and then come back through what is going to be the first bead on this next row. Now I'm going to add another bead. Just do my stitching as usual. And I want to show you one more time how to do this because I know it can be confusing when you're first starting to figure out how to do this. So this end is when we don't have to weave our thread back into our beadwork. It's all positioned the way it should be, or the way you're used to it being. You see we've created a nice point with a middle. Okay, and here we go. So one more time. So you pick up the last bead, pull it down. We're going to go through the bead below it on the row, the first bead on the row below, the middle bead, and then this top bead. Pull through, help it with your fingers so that bead lays where it needs to lay. Go through the bead below. Now go through that middle bead again and exit through that first bead on the row below and come back around and go through that top bead so that your thread is in the position you want it to be in. So it does take more work to do odd count peyote than even count peyote. It does require you weaving your thread back into your beadwork on every other row, but it does allow you to create really fun symmetrical designs with a center pattern.